Hi everyone, back to the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. A thought that's an interesting thought as well. It's all about the future of Newcastle United and their ability to be a top six club, stay a top six club, and spend in the transfer market. It's all about money. I seem to talk about money all the time these days. Honestly, don't you feel like you have to be some kind of fucking financial expert now rather than a football fan just to talk about things? It's crackers. It's absolutely crackers. But money talks in football and bullshit walks these days, and everyone's talking about money. And Newcastle United are no different. So Newcastle United have got a target, as everybody might know, very ambitious in terms of growing the revenues, the commercial revenues. They took over a championship operation under Mike Ashley that had nothing really spent on it, totally neglected, rotten away. Stadium had things that needed to get sorted. The squad was massively in need of investment. And the whole setup of the club as well, behind the scenes and everything else, just gone to rock and ruin, really. A bit like a scabby old social club and, in a city centre or something. That's kind of the Newcastle United that the PIF, Amanda Staveley and the Rubens bought off Mike Ashley. So slowly but surely they've been putting people in place like Darren Eales, Peter Silverstone, guys like that. These guys cost money as well, but these guys make money. That's a big thing about this football club. There's a great piece by Mark Douglas in the iNews, which just talks about Newcastle United's turbocharge to become this huge, big global power in terms of revenue, which will drift onto the football pitch and allow us to buy the best players and not sell our best players like Bruno Guimaraes, Isaac and Botman and people like that as well. We've seen this transfer window ever since Eales did that interview, rightly or wrongly, bids for Trippier, bids for Wilson, bids for Miggy. Now those players are kind of pushing towards 30 and 30 plus, and Trippier's over 30. So the kind of money you could get for those players at that age might be worth doing as long as you can reinvest into the squad. So that isn't something that's too scary, but you can sell as long as you buy better, or at least buy what you're losing, which is what Keegan always said, didn't he, as well? But it looks like we're keeping a hold of Trippier, Miggy, Wilson, a bit touch and go by the time you watch this. Who knows what's happened with that one? But in terms of Newcastle United, so just going into this money situation. So the article is really well written by Mark Douglas, who's a really good journalist, and he basically says that Newcastle are looking to obviously double their revenue kind of year on year, which is an ambitious target. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to replicate the model that Manchester United have been so successful at in terms of their global reach. I think Manchester United's global revenue was something mad, like 300 million quid or something like that, the club's revenue, in terms of their growth factor. Newcastle United was only about 49 million growth, I think it was, or something like that. We leapt up to 43.9 million in terms of the commercial revenue. Manchester United's most recent commercial income was 302 million. So that is big money, big money. But how did Manchester United do it? They did it for years. The prawn sandwich brigade, as Roy Keane said. So the football purists don't like this type of thing, but it may lead to us being able to invest on the pitch. It's things like getting your training kit sponsored, your training ground sponsored. That's a quick win. That's talked about in this article as well. Could Newcastle United have a training sponsor? Could it be, I don't know, Pepsi? Could it be Mercedes-Benz? Could it be Greg's even? Who knows? Something like that could sponsor Newcastle United's training kit. And when they do the press conferences, they'll have Greg's or Mercedes-Benz or whatever on the front of the kit. Eddie Howe will have it. It'll be all over the training pitch. It'll be on the pitches, or it'll probably be on Boston grass, all that type of stuff. That increases revenue. That brings revenue in as well. They're talking about doing commercial partnership deals with certain hotels and things like that. Doing these commercial partnerships grows and gets more money into the football club. They have even talked about stadium naming rights as well, but they've been very, very coy on that. After the disaster that was the Sports Direct Arena a few years ago under the Fat Man, they're not going to make that mistake again. They've got the trust that they engage with on a regular basis, and that's something that should very, very careful about. I know Darren Eales has come from the MLS where they've got the Mercedes-Benz stadiums or whatever the fuck it is. If they rename St James's Park, they're talking about a disaster there. They really are. They've got the fan zone outside. The stack's going to bring more commercial revenue in. They're talking about extending the ground. That's the kind of thing that is going to bring more money into this football club. It really, really is. But they've had to create a lot more jobs behind the scenes in terms of building up infrastructures and teams to do that kind of thing. I work in sales. I work in the commercial world. You've got to bring in a good team of people, innovative thinkers that can target these types of things, go after them, have the contacts to get the deals done, do the meetings, get the handshakes, get the business in. And that's what Newcastle United are having to do just as much on the pitch, off the pitch. They're having to really play catch up versus all of the teams. Years ago, we were light years ahead of Spurs, and then Spurs overtook us massively. And now they're a huge commercial entity in comparison to us. That's something that we obviously want to be as a football club, kind of going forward there as well. But the big bang moment, what Mark Douglas talks about, is going to happen in May And we know this. We disclosed our financial numbers with a £73 million loss, still under the FFP and PSR target, but that has hampered our ability to spend in this January transfer window. And I don't even know if we are going to spend. I hope we do. But that's caused us a problem about going out and buying players, even paying loan fees, apparently, for the likes of Calvin Phillips, which I'm still a bit sore about. But the big bang moment comes in May, and that will fall into the summer transfer pot where the seller deal, which I think is 25 million quid, and the Adidas money all jumps in. The Adidas one is a big one. We are one of the 7 elite clubs that have got the Adidas agreement, really, which I think is Real Madrid, Arsenal, Newcastle, Manchester United. So there's huge clubs in there, for us in terms of that particular moment. Bayern Munich's another one as well. Huge clubs that we're going to be in and amongst. You've seen all the Adidas adverts, whether you think they're cheesy or not. Again, it's all about growing that commercial kind of revenue as well. And I think they're very much going to look at retro wear. That'll increase revenue as well. People have got a real nostalgia for the old Keegan days of the entertainers with the shirts and the jumpers, and even the boots going retro the way they are now as well, which is really, really good. So I think the club is going to, really push for a commercial drive off the pitch in terms of new departments, more business relationships, e-commerce, the sort of website out, everything else like that as well. Apparently, they went to Borussia Dortmund Stadium. They were really taken aback as to how amazing that was in comparison to us as well. So they are going to try to improve on the stadium. We've already seen the terraces above the leases, the hospitality suites, and whether you like them or not, they bring money into the football club, and that money can then be recycled and used for the playing squad as well. So there's a lot of things going on off the pitch, and it's all about boosting the revenue of the football club to enable it to spend in the transfer market, to go and buy the best players. You see, like some Manchester United is maybe not a good example to use in terms of the players they bought. They bought Instagrammable players, I think, which I hate that word, but that's what they bought when they bought the likes of Pogba. Even bringing Ronaldo back, is as good as his goal record still was in terms of when he played, he was a problem because he didn't fit into the current managerial setup in terms of what they wanted. Sancho, again, bad manager, wrong manager, whatever you want to call it. So this is the start, really. This big bang moment is the start of Newcastle wanting to be this huge, big global entity off the pitch in the world of business and commercialism as well. And I just think that there's going to be a lot more of this coming. Now, the only worry for me is that if you concentrate more off the pitch, are you neglecting on the pitch? Do we push ourselves into a situation that the club starts to become something that Eddie Howe isn't comfortable with? This happened with Keegan way back in the day. If you remember when Keegan didn't like when PLC didn't like that, he threw his toys out the pram about that. And that's the reason that he walked back in the 90s. I hope this doesn't happen to Eddie Howe. I hope Eddie Howe knows what he's in for. I hope he knows that this commercial journey is happening and it doesn't really push him out into the background. But we'll put a link to the piece below for the iNews for you to have a check out, because it does seem like a really good piece from Mark Douglas. And the one thing's for sure, the club is not going to be standing still whatsoever. They are going to be looking to increase the stadium capacity, the membership as well, revenue streams, just everything you could possibly imagine. The club is going to be looking to invest in it as much as possible and grow that commercial entity, and then thus making more money available to spend on the team and everything else as well. So it's exciting from that point of view that Newcastle are trying to, go up there and pitch with the elite as well. But there's a lot to do off the pitch, but also a lot to do on the pitch, I think, as well. But let us know in the comments below what you think about that. Are you happy with it? Do you want the club to grow like that? Are you concerned that maybe this over commercialism might lose the traditional sense of what your football club is to you and is to people that you go to the game with? Let us know what you think in the comments below. We always like to hear from you. It doesn't matter whether you agree or disagree with us or not. We always like to engage with you. Let's keep it all cool. Let's keep it all above board and have a good crack about football. More than welcome to do that, guys. Smash a comment in. We'll do our best to reply. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're over 6,400 subs. Recommend us to family or friends. It's all free content. You get this kind of a thing, opinion videos, previews, transfer rumors, post-match reviews, everything else you could possibly imagine, all free. But if you do fancy giving a little bit back to the channel, you want to be a bit generous, we really appreciate that. It helps me and Mark bring you this great content. Just smash whichever one suits you best underneath there. Newcastle United are evolving. Are we going to evolve with them? I'm sure some of us want to, some of us don't. Have a cracking day, everyone. We'll catch you later. Cheers, bye.